Good morning. At the central level or at the state level, we always see Council of Ministers. At the union level, the Council of Ministers is headed by the Prime Minister, and at the state level, Council of Ministers is headed by the Chief Minister. But the point is that how many ministers can be there altogether? Is the number unlimited or is there any restriction? Earlier, there was no restriction, and any number of members can be appointed as a ministers. But over a period of time, the restriction has been imposed by an amendment of the Constitution of India. That's the reason why, if you look at the central level or state level, the number of ministers, in the Council of Ministers shall not exceed 15% of the total strength of the lower house. Meaning, if you look at the central level, whatever the number of ministers you have, that number should not exceed 15% of the total strength of the Lok Sabha. Please listen very carefully. I am not using the words parliament here. I am very specifically, deliberately, particularly using the word Lok Sabha, that is the lower house of the parliament. So, entire parliament is not coming into the picture. So, you need to take only the parliament, only the Lok Sabha, and the strength of Lok Sabha is 545. Out of this 545, you calculate 15%. 15%, and that is a maximum number of ministers in the central level. Similarly, when you come down to the state level, at every state you have Council of Ministers headed by the Chief Minister. Then what should be the strength of the ministers at the state level? That strength should not exceed, again, the strength of Council of Ministers should not exceed 15%. 15% of the total strength, 15% of the total strength of the this lower house of the state legislature. Lower house means assembly, right? And if you look at the assembly, the strength of assembly will vary from state to state. Strength of assembly is varying from state to state, and you look at your own state and look at the number, and whatever is the number, from that you calculate 15%, and beyond that you should not have the number of members in the Council of Ministers. This is what the Constitution says. But the problem is that if you look at any state today, once members are getting elected to the legislature, everybody wants to become a minister. Everybody wants to become the minister, and it is becoming very difficult for the chief ministers at the state level to accommodate so many people. At the same time, you cannot be very strict and you cannot say no, and you need to satisfy the needs of the people. That's the reason why, a new concept called parliamentary secretaries has come into the picture. Of course, it's not a new concept. It's a very, very old concept. So when it comes to parliamentary secretaries, so this is a body that is created where you can appoint some people in the form of the ministers. But what is happening? Constitution has put a restriction of not more than 15% of the total strength of the lower house, meaning assembly. So beyond that you cannot have. But aspirants are more, right? And obviously there is a pressure, there is a huge pressure on the chief minister. And how do you accommodate so many people? That's the reason why some of the states, like in Delhi also it happened, in Telangana also it happened earlier, they have appointed somebody called parliamentary secretaries. And some of the members who cannot be accommodated as a minister were entrusted with the responsibilities as the of the parliamentary secretaries. So they also just behave like these ministers, and the protocol is same. And when it comes to the functions have been allocated, and it was challenged in the court. When it was challenged in the court, the court have dismissed that one, Meaning, so whatever the parliamentary secretaries you are providing, you are violating the principle of the constitution, and you are exceeding the limit of the 15%. So, and the court has negated that. That is the reason why some states like some states like Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand, they have come out with a new route and a new idea. If you appoint somebody as a parliamentary secretaries, they will be considered as a council of ministers, and the strength is increasing. Strength is going beyond 15% of the total strength of the assembly. For this reason, to avoid this constitutional problem, they have passed an act, and according meaning the procedure has begun in the legislature. So according to that particular act, these people will be considered as parliamentary political secretaries. So the nomenclature has also been changed. And when it comes to these people will not be permitted to attend cabinet meetings, no, but they will be answering the questions. They will be answering the questions in the legislature on behalf of a minister in the absence of the minister. Meaning, so their role has been restricted. So this is only a mechanism to avoid the interference of the court. So this is how Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand, so they have performing this. And similarly, when you look at a state called Telangana, Telangana is also going on the same lines now, right? And very soon, ordinance is going to be issued. So where the some parliamentary political secretaries category will be created, and they will be given a status on par with the ministers, but they are not considered as ministers, so that you are not violating the restriction of the 15%. So this is a mechanism how you can escape from the clutches of the judiciary, and judiciary may not look into this. And of course, we don't know tomorrow if it is challenged again in the court of law, what court says, so we can see this. But but the government will have a strong point saying that since we have come through a legislature procedure, it should not be considered as a part of council of ministers, that should be excused. This is what happened in Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand states. So maybe Telangana state is also doing the same thing. But otherwise, the chief minister, Mr. KCR, in his earlier term, he appointed some members as parliamentary secretaries, and court has dismissed that one. Fine. And court raised the objection. That is the reason why they are stripped of their powers. And Mr. KCR is now very serious about this one, because there are so many aspirants who want to become the ministers in Telangana government. That is the reason why the chief minister himself is delaying the formation of the cabinet at the state level. But we need to wait and watch. So this is a new concept. And because it has already been started in some states, maybe in future so many other states will also come out with these concepts, right? So this is how, so they can escape from the constitutional restrictions. Fine. So now I have some more news with respect to the tribes in Jharkhand, right? And I'll just show that one to you. Right, in some of the tribes in Jharkhand, like Munda and Ho. So there is a tradition after marriage. They are supposed to this. So these are the tribal issues, very serious one. Generally, they arrange the treat for the friends and the relatives. But because of their backwardness, they are unable to this perform this ceremony. If you get married, you have to arrange that ceremony and feast to relatives. So to avoid this one, uh, parents are accepting that a girl is going with a boy and staying with a boy. And this is a practice. This is a practice. This is generally what happens there. So that shows the financial backwardness of those people. Right. So that's the reason why, if you look at the, this is some incidents, 20-25 years are over, they are staying together, but they are not married. Right. So this is a very serious issue. And now some NGOs, non-governmental organizations are coming forward to help them, this in performing this ritual called marriage, and a feast will be arranged so that they will be officially recognized as wife and husband. Otherwise the girl is called Dukni, right? And um, since these are the tribal issues, I want you to focus your attention on this one. And like this multiple problems are there for various sections, and especially with respect to the tribal people, multiple problems are there. I'll just open the document. Look at this. The tradition of living in among couples without marriage is common among Orayan, Munda, and Ho tribes of Jharkhand, where a couple unable to pay for a wedding simply moves in together and starts a family. And they are called Dhukua in local parlance. Listen very carefully. The female partner gets the society's approval to live with her chosen male partners. But instead of being a wife, she is branded with the title of Dukni. This is important. Clear? And since there is no marriage and they are just living in couples, she is branded as, Dukni, a woman who has entered a household without marriage. Right? Some NGOs are working towards this. That's good. And government should concentrate more on these issues so that these type of issues will be resolved, right? And when it comes to cricket, you must be aware of cricket. Wonderful. And India won this one day series by 2-1 against Australia. This is a wonderful performance by Team India, especially by Mahendra Singh Dhoni, right? And hopefully this year we are also going for World Cup, and hopefully India will be winning World Cup once again, right? So thank you so much for being with me, and I'll see you in the next class with more current affairs. And I wish you all a very, very, very happy weekend. Thank you so much.